All right, welcome back to the Cigar Box Guitar Builder. Here we go. We're going to build a Piezo powered resonator style cigar box guitar using a part gas cigar box, a tin lid for the resonator, and pop a couple of nice little sound holes there and there. We are using pine for the neck, and we're using a piece of very old pine for the fretboard, even some stuff with some paint, and I'm going to leave that on there. So this is going to be a resonator build, and we're going to do it a la Birdwood guitar style with the recessed tuners, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. So let's get on with it, and first thing I'm going to do, okay, very first thing I'm going to do, you can see where I am. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do, throw Prince's ball, need a ruler. All right, so it's a small box. I don't want it to be too long, so I'm not going to use a 25.5-inch scale length, which I usually use. I'm actually going to use a 24-inch scale length. Now, I'm going to want the bridge to sit right in the middle, so I am actually going to sit the guitar here. Now, I'm going to set this up. I've got headstock space here. This is where the nut's going to be. So the very first thing I'm going to do is mark the nut. Here we go, just there. Hope you don't mind not seeing me, because I think this is the more important stuff. All right, so I always like to leave a little space. Going to put the nut there. There we are. Nice headstock. I don't like a cramped headstock. I like something with a little bit of room. Now, the very next thing I'm going to do, you'll notice I've got a piece of tape there to mark 25.5. I want 24. So I'm going to make sure that this length is correct. There we go. And I'm going to set the 24 in the middle of where I want the headstock. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm marking where, just underneath, I'm marking where the neck touches the body, and I'm going to mark the end of the guitar as well. And the other thing I'm going to do is mark the 24. There we go. Now that tells me now, I can take this away, and it's going to be fretless, okay? So it's going to be a really traditional Piezo powered cigar box guitar. All right, it's going to have a little volume control on it as well, because it's good to have a volume control, because you can just you just turn down the volume a tiny bit, and before the volume goes, it just takes a little treble off. So if it's a little trebly, you just go and just take that little bit off there. All right, so here we go. Let's do this. All right, we've got just measure that there. There we go. All right, I'm gonna put a mark here, 24 inches. All right, 24. That way I don't confuse myself and fret it for a 25-inch. All right, so that's cool. So that's the very first thing I'm gonna do. Headstock is here. There we go. And there's my headstock there. And that's that. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of shape on this. So let's put I'm gonna chop a bit off the end here. I do like a little bit of a diagonal slice, so I'll do that and come right back with you. Okay, so as you can see, I've just marked that. Now I do have a little template. I'm just going to, there we go. I've got my little spacer here. Now I'm just going to put some spacing here for the machine heads. I'm being a little rough with this. I'm not particularly worried about it. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now I don't do a recess. I keep the neck nice and straight. I keep the same thickness all the way through. I've done this for years and years and years and years. Put that mess over there. All right. I'm going to use a countersink This is just the way as I said to you, this is what I've been doing for years. I see no sense in changing. I see some other people starting to do that. That's all good. It's all part of the process, isn't it? All right, back to the build. Get rid of that for the moment. Don't need that. Do need this though. So we want this to go straight through. All right. So I'm going to use my trusty wooden ruler. Hey. There we go. Now I'm going to be using the back of the box as the soundboard. Right? So, and it's going to be that way up because I like to see the words the right way up when I'm playing, and also I'll get to see that, which I like. Now I'm going to put a volume control probably right there. Excuse me. All right, so balancing this up, I'll put this is one of my little zero rulers. I've just made this. Measurements almost 7. Again, I'm not overly fussed. I know this is 4.2 centimeters. So I go from the 0 point, I go 2.1 and 2.1. I also know that the top, I have to make sure that I've got the top, so I'll use the flat part, come down a couple of mil, put a line. Again guys, this is not rocket science, I'm just freehanding this. See, put a little marker there, you can see there. Do the same on this side over here, 7 and a bit, or just before the 7, sorry. Just before the 7. Make sure it's in the center. I always put my center mark for some reason. There we go, 2. And again, just making sure that I've got enough of that top there. The way I build these, it really doesn't matter if the hole's a little actually on the big side because it's bolted in. I don't want this to be, I actually am not going to frame this box out. All right, I'm going to take the wood out. The reason I'm not framing the box out is that I want it to be, I actually want it to be a little bit jangly. I don't want a kind of, I think when you frame the boxes out, sometimes it compresses the sound a little bit. I actually want movement. I actually want, it's a pretty tough little box, but I actually don't want there to be a lot of, I want there to be a lot of movement, shaking and vibrating in the box. So here we go. 1, and come across. Notice I'm not cutting towards myself. There we go. I come here. Some people use Dremels for this. This is just a 1.5 mil ply. I don't even think it's a 3 mil ply. So, and I'm just putting the weight of the knife straight down. And same again. I think you can see this what I'm doing. There we go. I've scored this side that's inside the box. I'm now going to take the paper and score through the paper. Give it another couple of passes with the knife. It's a good sharp knife. And there we go. Bang, punch that through. And then do the other side as well. So here we go. Come down. All right, and down. I'm just gonna another couple of passes with the knife. Now, you might be asking me, hey, why are you using Piezo? Why do you want to use Piezos? I'm actually a massive fan of Piezo pickups. A huge fan of Piezo pickups because it's the Piezo which gives you the most accurate representation of the actual sound of the cigar box. The electric guitar pickup is going to make it sound like an electric guitar. It's as simple as that. almost doesn't matter. What kind of box you've got or anything, it literally will make it sound like an electric guitar. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's, if you want to, there we go. If you want it to sound like a cigar box guitar, piezo pickup's what you need to do. All right, I need to do something here. I'm going to pop that there. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do is, I know this is how long I want the fretboard. Now, I've got this beautiful, beautiful old manky piece of pine that I'm going to use for the fretboard. Look at that. I'm going to leave the paint on it. I'm leaving everything on it, right? Now, I'm going to cut it, take it over to the table saw. I'm going to cut it there. Then I'm going to glue this on. We're going to let it sit for a few hours. All right, we are back. I got 2 little bits of wire. Why have I got 2 little bits of wire, you ask? Why do you have 2 little bits of wire? Well, because I'm currently doing, look what I'm doing here. All right, I am doing the wiring. Don't know if you can see that, but wiring up a piezo pickup is super easy. But where people get really, really wrong is in piezo placement. And it's very unfair, because unfortunately piezo pickups get a very, very bad reputation, and in some cases deservedly, but not because it's their fault. Oh, Adam, what are you doing? You're opening a whole can of worms, aren't you? I do. I like to open cans of worms. Piezo placement is the most important thing, all right, when it comes to wiring up a cigar box guitar. Do not ever attach the piezo pickup to the top of the box. I've done videos on this before and I've proved it, okay? When you put a piezo pickup on, don't stick it on the box timber, okay? Don't put it there on the treble side, bass side. Don't put it there on the treble side. You got to put the pickup 2 places. One, directly underneath or on top of the neck as it goes through. So underneath, and you just watch videos I've done. You've watched videos that Del Puckett's done. It's just to show you the easiest way, the simplest and the easiest way. Let me show you this. Alright. This is different because this is obviously different because I'm mounting the piezo directly under the 24-inch mark on the tin, okay? But you'll notice there, the keen-eyed amongst you will notice that I've actually popped a little piece of timber here, which is going to be pressing from the bridge, whatever I end up using for a bridge. I'll have a little biscuit there. From the bridge, the timber bridge, the sound will transfer, the vibration, not sound, the vibrations of the strings will transfer, those vibrations will transfer directly through this tin, which will add to the sonic characteristics of this particular instrument. Be picked up by the piezo pickup, okay? Now, you'll notice that there's a little bit of timber here, and what that's going to do is that's just going to give it a little bit more of an earthy tone instead of it being too tinny, all right? I do want it to be a little bit tinny because the whole point of having a resonator is to make it sound like a resonator, right? But I don't want it too tinny, all right? I will wire this floating wire up, okay? But when you put in a normal guitar neck, let's say this, and, all right. So if your guitar neck goes through like that, right? Easiest place to put it, and this is without the tin there, if it was just timber flat on there. All right, make sure your timber's sitting square on there, okay? Square on this neck. The top is touching the neck. All right, and then place your piezo there. Right there. That's where you put it. All right? Whether you put a volume control on there or not, I always think that volume control on a piezo pickup is imperative, more important than anything else. All right? you got to have a volume control with it, because then you can shape the sound just that tiny little bit on the fly, okay, depending on which amp you use. And then it's that easy. It's that easy. It literally, it's literally that easy, and you get a great sound. You get a really great sound, but do not expect it to sound like a magnetic pickup. Don't expect it to sound like an electric guitar. It's not going to. All right. The whole point of using a piezo pickup is so that you can hear the sound of the cigar box guitar, the traditional cigar box guitar. If you don't want to hear that sound, use a magnetic pickup, for God's sake. Okay, but if you really want a bluesy sound, you really want a sound that you could close your eyes and you can imagine yourself sitting there in the hill country or sitting in the delta and sitting there and just playing with some of the most amazing cats ever. This is what I would take. I would take this, all right, and I'd plug this into a solid state PV amplifier with just the tiniest little bit of dirt. All right, treble rolled back a bit on them, probably back to about 10 o'clock on the amplifier, bass up, middle up. Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. All right, that's what this is all about. All right, so let me just plug in that earth wire, and next, out, recording. I'm there for you. I think this one, if the grain's right, it'll go the opposite way. All right. Yep. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. All right. I'm just going to roll, because that's quite sharp now, along the edges there. Just going to get some, just going to roll those edges. There it is. I don't want to take too much off here because I don't want to ruin that patina. So just take that sharp edge off the fretboard. So I've actually got a ruler here which is set up to be 24 inch. So I'm just going to mark the third, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slightly loose. Sorry, this is for the screws, and it's moderately loose in the hole. My little Duvalaki. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the gold is nice against this because it'll stand out. Going in quite nicely. And I'm going to sit, and we're going to do again just on the sides. I'm not doing major measurements or anything. Fine. Now I do need 1, 2, 3. There. Now, I can't put these screws in, but I can do the rivets tomorrow when I do final assembly. As you saw, the electrics are all done, and so I'll hammer in the rivet heads tomorrow. So Give that a little sand back. Just go around the corners. That's going to be absolutely ace. It's getting dark and cold down here now, so let's just use the one, two. Let's get it nice and hot. That's going to come up a treat. I was thinking about doing some ebonizing, but this thing, it's going to be gorgeous. There we go. Put it in the hole. Get in the hole. You too good for the hole? All right. Slightly unfinished guitar so far. There we are. And that's the inside. That's it there. So, looking good, actually. I'm going to leave that there overnight. Just going to let it dry. I'm going to get rid of this. That's all off. All right, guys. Have a good one. Next video will be final assembly and a play. See ya.